Having a president call a governor saying, "I need you to find 23,482 votes." That is wild.
That is
unprecedented wild shit.
That is fake news too, because he was not talking about making up the votes. He was talking about actually counting votes.
Okay, hold on. Yeah. That's not fake news. You can literally listen to the phone call.
You listen to a out of context clip of the actual phone conversation.
What? Adam, no.
Wait, hold on. Wait, explain.
There's a longer phone conversation out there. I listened to the whole thing. Okay.
I'm not looking to shake up the whole world. We won Georgia easily. So look, can you get together tomorrow? And Brad, we just want the truth. It's simple, and everyone's going to look very good if the truth comes out. It's okay. It take a little while, but let the truth come out.
Could an actual fascist get elected in the Republican Party? What?
Trump did.
Well, I don't know if
I think given the opportunity to be, Trump would absolutely be a fascist. Our institutions, thankfully, were strong enough for him not to be, but he definitely has all the markings of the kind of person that would be. Absolutely.
I don't know that. I don't know that that's true. I'm reading Kellyanne Conway's book, and she was his most trusted advisor, and I just.
I mean,
the picture
Trump
she
did
paints
everything,
of him,
like the stoking of the racial fears constantly, the idea of banning Muslims and Mexicans from coming to the United States, wanting to supersede election results because he didn't disagree with them, looking for every possible way to break institutions and get around them to enact what he wanted to, saying things like we have a national security crisis and that's why I'm going to go and enforce my own immigration policy on the border, constantly making enemies out of like every country that we used to be friends with, the hyperfixation on isolationism when it came to economic policy and like military things. Like Trump is in every way, slash every form. He's
You've
like
got your CNN talking points memorized. I commend you.
I'm just saying that, like, given the opportunity to do so, Trump absolutely would be a fascist. This is like, it's part and parcel of what he does, for sure.
So look at the clearing the park story. Do you know that's like fake news. That's not a real story.
That story was bullshit, but it's not anything having to do with him being a fascist. Though. That's
hold on.
I think Adam, it comes down more to not. Well, first of all, I don't think anyone here is going to argue that Trump has some ideology that he's really focused on. I think it's more just that Trump wanted to do whatever he wants to do, and he doesn't want to let any rules or institutions stop him. And that can very easily lead someone down the path of being, authoritarian.
Yeah, that is like a fascist thing. Like, look how often he was saying things like the media is the enemy of the people. I want to open up libel and defamation laws so I can sue the media when they publish bad shit about me. Like,
well, the people do want to. I mean, defamation is a problem. People lying in the media is a problem.
But I mean, like when your president is telling you that he wants to be able to sue the media for posting bad shit about him, that's a red flag.
Obvious. Obviously, that's right. If you're in the president's situation, but the media is actually lying about shit. And listen, Trump had his attorney call Kellyanne Conway and try and get her to rig the straw poll in the CPAC straw poll or whatever. And she wouldn't even rig. He couldn't even get the fucking straw poll rigged.
Yeah, but that kind of helps Destiny's argument. That's
exactly the point. He's trying to do shit and people don't let him.
Right, but that's hold on. That is any politician. She literally says
that is not any
bullshit.
Okay? I would have agreed with you until the election shit. The election shit in 2020 is maybe the scariest shit I've seen in my life.
Having a president call a governor saying, "I need you to find 23,482 votes." That is wild. That is unprecedented wild shit.
That is fake news too, because he was not talking about making up the votes. He was talking about actually counting votes.
Okay, hold on. Yeah. That's not fake news. You can literally listen to the phone call, which we did. And number two, he was looking for the number of votes that he needed to win the election.
You listen to a out of context clip of the actual phone conversation.
What? Adam, no.
Wait, hold on. Wait, explain.
There's a longer phone conversation out there. I listened to the whole thing. Okay.
What is the appropriate phone?
He is not talking about breaking the law in any way, shape, or form. Let me get back to the straw poll thing, because I want to tell something to Doomer here. Kellyanne Conway has run the straw poll for years and years and years, and she said a lot of people call her and ask her to fucking rig the straw poll. So it's not just a Trump thing; it's any fucking politician.
Okay, I don't know who brought up the straw. I don't care about the straw poll. I'm talking about our elections for president of the United States. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know what the straw poll is.
I agree. I totally agree. But
his behavior is unprecedented.
Yes, I completely agree. And
the goal was to overturn the norms of how we elect a president, right? Are we agreeing on this? Or
yes, it was normally people would have stepped back and said, I concede. Obviously, it's a close election.
No, that's not what I'm not talking about. Step back and I concede. I'm talking about expecting the vice president of the United States to not certify the vote. I'm talking about making phone calls to governors, asking them to find illegal votes. I'm talking about constantly undermining every part of the electoral process. Saying the mail-in ballots were rigged.
First of all, Destiny, I'm not contesting. I'm not contesting. The only thing I'm contesting is that phone call. Because there's a longer version of the phone call, and obviously the media has spun the story as in Trump was asking them to fake votes, fake ballots.
He wasn't asking them outright to do it, but it was like don't you think there's some illegal stuff here that we can probably find?
In the longer version of the phone call, he talks about counties that they originally had won in the previous election and then flipped the other way around, and that he only wanted a recount in these certain counties. And that's why he's saying, I only need to find this many votes, and that's why I'm only focused on recounts in these particular counties.
Just listen to what you're saying, right? He's literally quoted as saying, what I want to do is this, I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have because we won the state. This doesn't sound like a good faith. What other phone calls did he make to other states
There's two positions here. There's Trump is calling an election official to say, make up a bunch of votes and just stuff them in there and we're done. And there's the position, and there is the position that Trump believes the election has been, wrongly counted, and that we need a recount, we need a recount in certain areas.
Let me introduce a third position. He doesn't like the election results, and he's going to do what he reasonably can without making himself look like a complete. Well, he did look like a lunatic.
Yeah, he looked like a lunatic already. You can't say that.
He did basically everything he reasonably could.
I hate to Godwin's laws, and I don't think any of you are Nazis. I don't mean that at all, of course. Right. I've never said it. But this is like the equivalent argument to when when Nazi apologists are like, well, there's not a direct order from Hitler saying we need to kill all the Jews. And it's of course, Trump is never going to call someone to be like, guys, we need to rig the election.
Destiny. First of all, I didn't vote for Trump. I could care less that Trump didn't win.
I'm not saying you did.
Didn't win the election. The thing that I care about is honesty in media, and that you got to admit that story.
Trump was saying the election was going to be rigged 8 fucking months in advance on his fucking Twitter. He's going off like fucking crazy. Did you see his fucking Twitter during the election? It was terriying. It was fucking
Doomer. Doomer, you're getting completely triggered.
So fucking I'm triggered. It was terrifying.
Doomer, I didn't
democracy and shit.
Doomer, I didn't realize that you had TDS. I'm sorry that I didn't actually. I'm sorry.
Claim has come out.
I'm sorry that I didn't put a trigger warning on this conversation.
I'm proud to be the first person in history to have TDS and VDS. Okay, I have DS about everybody. Okay, I've got ADS, I've got SCS, I've got RDS. I've got all the shit. Okay, that shit was scary.
There is a longer version of that conversation. That
conversation is one data point of 200.
And that even the longer version isn't a good look for a president to ask for votes. But I mean, I do agree with you. There was no conversation where Trump said, hey, we need to rig the election. That's true. That conversation never happened. But that's never going to be a conversation that somebody trying to rig an election is going to have.
So you're saying basically that he's asking for it without asking for it.
Of course. Absolutely. Yes. Of course.
Okay. Well, that is your belief. I mean, I can't read minds or anything. So, I mean.
Well, I mean, we can look
obviously,
at his other behavior. Did he call others?
Thankfully, Destiny can read minds. So
flashback.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Brad and Ryan and everybody. We appreciate the time and the call. So we've spent a lot of time on this, and if we could just go over some of the numbers, I think it's pretty clear that we won. We won very substantially, Georgia. You even see it by rally size, frankly. We'd be getting 25,000, 30,000 people a rally, and the competition would get less than 100 people, and it never made sense. But we have a number of things. We have at least 2 or 3, anywhere from 250 to 300,000 ballots were dropped mysteriously into the rolls. Much of that had to do with Fulton County, which hasn't been checked. We think that if you check the signatures, a real check of the signatures going back in Fulton County, you'll find at least a couple of 100,000 of forged signatures of people with who have been forged, and we are quite sure that's going to happen. Another tremendous number. We're going to have an accurate number over the next 2 days with certified accountants, but an accurate number will be given, but it's in the 50s of thousands, and that's people that went to vote and they were told they can't vote because they've already been voted for, and it's a very sad thing. They walked out complaining, but the number is large. We'll have it for you, but it's much more than the number of 11,779. That's the current margin is only 11,779. Brad, I think you agree with that, right? That's something I think everyone, at least that's a number that everyone agrees on. But that's the difference in the votes. But we've had hundreds of thousands of ballots that we're able to actually, we'll get you a pretty accurate number. You don't need much of a number because the number that in theory I lost by the margin would be 11,779. But you also have substantial numbers of people, thousands and thousands, who went to the voting place on November 3rd, were told they couldn't vote. Were told they couldn't vote because a ballot had been put in on their name. And, that's very, 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 very sad. We had, I believe it's about 4,502 voters who voted, but who weren't on the voter registration list. So it's 4,502 who voted, but they were not on the voter registration roll, which they had to be. You had 18,325 vacant address voters. The address was vacant, and they're not allowed to be counted. That's 18,325. Smaller number, you had 904 who only voted where they had just a PO, a post office box number. And they had a post office box number, and that's not allowed. We had at least 18,000, that's on tape. We had them counted very painstakingly. 18,000 voters having to do with, she's a vote scammer, a professional vote scammer and hustler. That was the tape that's been shown all over the world that makes everybody look bad, you, me, and everybody else. Where they got number one, they said very clearly, and it's been reported that they said there was a major water main break. Everybody fled the area, and then they came back. And a few people. There were no Republican poll watchers. Actually, there were no Democrat poll watchers. I guess they were them. But there were no Democrats either, and there was no law enforcement. Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes. Those votes were put there a number of hours before. The table was put there. I think it was, Brad, you would know, it was probably 8 hours or 7 hours before, and then it was stuffed with votes. They weren't in an official voter box. They were in what looked to be suitcases or trunks, suitcases, but they weren't in voter boxes. The minimum number it could be, because we watched it and they watched it certified in slow motion, instant replay, if you can believe it, but had slow motion, and it was magnified many times over. And the minimum it was 18,000 ballots, all for Biden. You had out-of-state voters. They voted in Georgia, but they were from out of state, of 4,925. You had absentee ballot sent to vacant. They were absentee ballots sent to vacant addresses. They had nothing on them about addresses. That's 2,326. And you had drop boxes, which was very bad. You had drop boxes that were picked up. We have photographs, and we have affidavits from many people. I don't know if you saw the hearings, but you have drop boxes where the box was picked up and not delivered for 3 days. So all sorts of things could have happened to that box, including, putting in the votes that you wanted. So there are many infractions, and the bottom line is many, many times the 11,779 margin that they said we lost by. We had the state is in turmoil over this, and I know you would like to get to the bottom of it, although I saw you on television today and you said that you found nothing wrong. The other thing, dead people. So dead people voted, and I think the number is in close to 5,000 people. And they went to obituaries, they went to all sorts of methods to come up with an accurate number, and a minimum is close to about 5,000 voters. The bottom line is when you add it all up, and then you start adding, 300,000 fake ballots, then the other thing they said is in Fulton County and other areas, and this may or may not be true, this just came up this morning, that they are burning their ballots, that they are shredding ballots and removing equipment. They're changing the equipment on the Dominion machines, and then that's not legal. And they supposedly shredded, I think they said 3,000 pounds of ballots, and that just came to us as a report today. And it's a very sad situation. But Brad, if you took the minimum numbers were many, many times above the 11,779, and many of those numbers are certified, or they will be certified, but they are certified. Those are numbers that are there, that exist, and that beat the margin of loss. They beat it, by a lot. And people should be happy to have an accurate count instead of an election where there's turmoil. There's turmoil in Georgia and other places. You're not the only one. We have other states that I believe will be flipping to us very shortly. And but this is something that's as an example. I think in Detroit, and I think there's a good section of your state actually, which we're not sure, so we're not going to report it yet. But in Detroit, we had 139% of the people voted. That's not too good. In Pennsylvania, they had well over 200,000 more votes than they had people voting, and that doesn't play too well. And the legislature there which is Republican, is extremely activist and angry. But there were other things also that were almost as bad as that. But they had, as an example, in Michigan, a tremendous number of dead people that voted. I think Mark, it was 18,000, some unbelievably high number, much higher than yours. You were in the 4,000 to 5,000 category, and that was checked out laboriously by going through the obituary columns in the newspapers. So I guess with all of it being said, Brad, it's the bottom line. And provisional ballots, again, you'll have to tell me about the provisional ballots, but we have a lot of people that were complaining that they weren't able to vote because they were already voted for. And these are great people. And, they were shell-shocked. I don't know if you call that provisional ballots. In some states, we had a lot of provisional ballot situations where people were given a provisional ballot because when they walked in on November 3rd, they were already voted for. So that's it. We have many, many times the number of votes necessary to win the state, and we won the state, and we won it very substantially and easily, and we have much of this is they're certified. Far more is certified than we need, but we're getting additional numbers certified too, and we're getting pictures of drop boxes being delivered and delivered late, and delivered 3 days later in some cases. Plus, we have many affidavits to that effect. I'm not looking to shake up the whole world. We won Georgia easily. We won it by hundreds of thousands of votes. But if you go by basic, simple numbers, we won it easily. So we're not giving Dominion a pass on the record.
No, right, exactly.
But we just don't, we don't need Dominion because we have so many other votes that we don't need to prove it any more than we already have.
Mr. President, Cleta, this is Kurt Hilbert, if I might interject here for a moment. Ryan, I would like to suggest that just 4 categories that have already been mentioned by the president that have actually hard numbers of 24,149 votes that were counted illegally. That in and of itself is sufficient to change the results or place the outcome in doubt. We would like to just sit down with your office, and we can do it through purposes of compromise and settlement just like this phone call, just to deal with that limited category of votes. And if you are able to establish that our numbers are not accurate, then fine. However, we believe that they are accurate. We've had now 3 to 4 separate experts look at these numbers. These numbers are based upon the USPS.
And certified accountants looked at them.
Correct. And this is just based on USPS data and your own Secretary of State data. So that's what we would entreat and ask you to do, to sit down with us in a compromise and settlement proceeding, and actually go through the registered voter IDs and the registrations. And if you can convince us that that 24,149 is inaccurate, then fine. But we tend to believe that that is, obviously more than 11,779. That's sufficient to change the result entirely in and of itself. So what would you say to that, Mr. Germany?
Kurt, I'm happy to, I'll get with our lawyers and we'll set that up. That number is not accurate, and I think we can show you, for all the ones we've looked at, why it's not. And so if that would be helpful, I'm happy to get with our lawyers and set that up with you guys.
Well, let me ask you, Kurt. Kurt, you think that is an accurate number? That was based on the information given to you by the Secretary of State's Department, right?
That is correct. That information is the minimum, most conservative data based upon the USPS data and the Secretary of State's office data that has been made publicly available. We do not have the internal numbers from the Secretary of State, yet we have asked for it 6 times. I've sent a letter over to Mr. Anulowicz several times requesting this information, and it's been rebuffed every single time. So it stands to reason that if the information is not forthcoming, there's something to hide. That's the problem that we have.
So look, can you get together tomorrow? And Brad, we just want the truth. It's simple. And everyone's going to look very good if the truth comes out. It's okay. It takes a little while, but let the truth come out. And the real truth is I won by 400,000 votes, at least. That's the real truth. But we don't need 400,000 votes. We need less than 2,000 votes. And are you guys able to meet tomorrow, Ryan?
I'll get with Chris, the lawyer who's representing us in the case, and see when he can get together with Kurt.
All right.
Ryan will be in touch with the other attorney on this call, Mr. Meadows. Thank you, President Trump, for your time.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
End of flashback.
Let me try and build a bridge, Adam.
Destiny, how do you?
Hold on.
You can't build a bridge. You have TDS.
He's building a bridge. Let him build a bridge.
Adam, let me build a bridge. Do you think that Trump's behavior was the most fascist thing we've seen from a presidential candidate in 30 years?
January 6th was insane.
Yes or no question.
I think what he did on January 6th was insane and totally fucking stupid, and like his entire speech on January 6th.
What he's asking is, has there been a president that's been more fascist than Donald Trump?
Well, I feel like every
it's a no. It's a no. It's an obvious no.
Hold on, maybe.
What about Nixon? I mean, Nixon was literally fucking bugging the office of the fucking Democratic National
Nixon's
Committee.
Shit was bad, but honest to God, compared to what Trump did, I think Trump was way worse.
Nixon did espionage on his political rivals. So
Nixon sabotaged peace talks to continue the Vietnam War. Nixon was pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. So what the fuck? What the fuck?
That was 60 years ago. So he's the most fascist president in 60 years. We don't need to split hairs. Oh, is he a fascist? Isn't he a fascist? Dumb fucking
Technically, Trump was impeached more times than Nixon was.
That's true.
Is it just the term? I feel like it's just the term fascist that you're kind of hung up on, Adam.
Fascist?
When I think of fascist, I think of like one bend of fascism is this concept of authoritarianism. It's this concept of like, you are above the democratic norms, you are above the institutions, you are above the law. And Trump acted like that every single step of the way. And him constantly attacking our electoral process when you're the president is a pretty scary thing. And I think there's a lot of evidence.
I mean, I don't know that he did think he was above the law, but you could definitely make that argument.
You would say he didn't have respect for the processes and institutions of our country.
No, I would say that he's constantly trying to undermine them. I would make that statement way more extreme.
Right. No, I'm saying for Adam to kind of soft.
Well, did he have respect for those institutions? I mean, he does when they work in his favor, and he doesn't when. Yeah. But listen, Destiny, how is this any different than Vaush's position?
He doesn't need to be.
Wait, Vaush wasn't president. I mean, if you're going to try to get me to defend Vaush position, I'm not. Vaush would be a fucking fascist if he had the opportunity as well with other racial things. Sure.
Right.
I have no doubt that Trump believes that he won the election and that it was stolen from him by, like, he probably watches Dinesh D'Souza's movie with like just, oh my God, they can't believe they did this to me. Like, he watches it like it's real. Yeah, he's completely, he believes that. So
every single person around him told him no. His intelligence agencies told him no. Barr told him no.
Yeah, but he doesn't trust any of those agencies.
He doesn't trust anybody. Yeah. Well, at what point then are you like a delusional? Like, fine, then maybe he.
No, he is delusional. Okay, I'm not going to argue Trump is not delusional. What you think I'm crazy?
I'm going to build a bridge now. Okay, I'll meet you halfway. I would not call Trump a fascist. I'll call him a schizo-fascist. Okay, he was a fascist, but only because he had like this schizophrenic understanding of the world, where he was just so delusional that it drove him to try to break every single democratic norm we ever fucking had. So I'll meet you halfway there. Okay.
Well, he did break norms. I mean, I'm not arguing about that, but.
Well, and also, I mean, whether what your intentions are, whether you think you're acting honestly or not, I mean, that doesn't really have anything to do with fascism or authoritarianism, right? Like, you can think you honestly won and then break all the norms. It still would be an authoritarian power grab.
Well,
right?
True.
You're discussing the reasons behind it all. Why?
The thing is, though, if you believe, like the institutions have already been subverted in his eyes, so
I understand
the damage has already been done. Yeah,
have they been subverted, or did you just think they've been subverted?
I don't think they've been. I do not think that they've been subverted. I think that.
I don't think he's
like, isn't it? What was his one quote? Like the polls are real, but the news is fake. Like, when you're picking and choosing this hard, at some point you got to say, I just don't think he's a good faith actor,
right?
Or he is a schizo-fascist, which I was willing to accept.
Well, listen, I appreciate Adam Steelmanning the chat. Okay,
we need. I mean,
dude, fuck the chat is so wrong.
The
chat is so.
Don't insult our chat, Doomer. Okay.
Let me go look at Destiny's chat. It's probably
look the call. If you listen to the call, it's the perfect duck rabbit thing. You can hear it either way. It's pretty obvious. So
sure,
if you listen to the full call,
but it's the same thing with the Ukraine call, which I think was far more obviously, wrong.
Right. So Sitch, I'm interested. Do you think?
Well,
that Trump was saying,
I'm the resident TDSer on the stream, so I'm trying to.
Well, no. How do you? What? Literally, it just seems so implausible to me that he would call up an election official, and the votes are either out there or they're not out there. But to insinuate that he covertly wants this election official to fill in a bunch of ballots, or just make a bunch of ballots up, or hire people to make up a bunch of ballots, or flip a switch on some machine somewhere.
I mean, this guy literally announced that he'd won the presidency before even the votes were fucking counted. It was Pence that walked us back from that cliff on election night.
Hold on. I'm focusing in on this one point, Destiny.
Sure.
Do you accept, though, that why would I call somebody on the phone, some election official that I don't have any kind of relationship with? What exactly am I asking them if your narrative is correct?
You're asking them to see what they can do, wink, wink, to maybe like.
Yeah, but what is that? What would they?
Who the fuck knows what it is? Trump doesn't know anything
technical-
about any of the electoral process. Maybe it's finding a box of
process.
ballots somewhere. Maybe it's discounting some ballots. Maybe it's saying some votes shouldn't have counted. I don't know. It could be fucking anything. But
I
like,
just
it was
find
obvious
it.
that he was,
I find it hard to believe that Kellyanne Conway wouldn't step in and go, That's a little fucking. You can't do that. It's like that's insane.
Okay. Here's a question for you, Adam. If Justin Trudeau did exactly the same things during an election that Trump did, would people on the right call him a fascist?
absolutely. Sorry.
I don't. They do call him a fascist. Yeah. Hasn't he done some more things?
I don't give a shit about Canada.
I mean,
I don't know what goes on.
Listen, Canada's not even a country in my eyes. So I mean, I'm with you there.
It's an outpost for maple
North
imports.
Dakota.
That's where we get our hot celebrities. That's all I know.
Canada's like in Stardew Valley, south of your base, when you put fucking maple things on the trees and you just go down every couple days.
We should move on. Just remember, I was right about this. You guys, one day we'll hear the entire phone call, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Adam was right."
He was just calling genuinely concerned about the Georgia election process.
Well,
how did I miss Trump's genuine concern for this one state that might have been pivotal in winning his election, and then calling for the exact amount of votes that he needed +1 to win? Of course, he was just concerned. Fuck, I'll listen to it afterwards, and I'll see. Maybe my mind will change.
I think you just have to realize that he was focused on a recount of the election, like he had assumed ballots were incorrectly counted. So he wasn't looking for just finding new ballots. He was saying, "Hey, we need to recount, and these are the counties that are likely where the mistakes were made." That's basically what he was saying. But anyway, let's move on. Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.